Crowdfunding is a concept that has been around for a long time, whereby lots of people bring money together in the hopes of bringing some project or something else to life or helping someone in need. So you may have heard of websites such as Kickstarter or GoFundMe, and these are crowdfunding websites in their own right. However, today we're going to be looking at Crowdcube, which is one you may not have heard of, and which for investors such as myself and hopefully possibly you, this is a chance for people like you to invest in up-and-coming and new projects and businesses and get a share of the possible profits further down the line. So, first things first, what is Crowdcube and how does it differ from the other crowdfunding websites such as Kickstarter and GoFundMe? So where Kickstarter brings something to life, it focuses more on kind of creative projects and things like videos, films, movies, that sort of thing. And there is no expectation that it will make money, and there is no expectation of getting monetary or financial returns for the people that back it. Great place to go if you look into, like, if you're someone who's looking to do a big movie or something like that, and you just need that initial capital to invest, or you need some money behind you in order to complete your project. So that is where you might go to Kickstarter. Whereas GoFundMe tends to be individual stories and things where people, again, go where they need some money, again, with not necessarily the return or the expectation of profit. Whereas Crowdcube is a great opportunity for you to get some investment returns and invest in some new and exciting companies. And it's something that I've been exploring recently. So today we're going to look at whether Crowdcube is worth doing, what sort of things that you can invest in on Crowdcube, how it all works, and we'll take an in-depth look and give some thoughts and a review of Crowdcube as a platform. Okay, so first things first, this is the kind of Crowdcube homepage, and I'm also going to show you my portfolio and the things that I've invested in on Crowdcube, so make sure that you stick around for that a bit later. So on the Crowdcube website itself, it's fairly straightforward. It's not got, you know, a huge amount of bells and whistles and things which make it unnecessarily complex. It's very user-friendly, it's easy to access, so people, even if you're not entirely clear on investing, it can make life a lot easier. It offers different things to the regular investment platforms, so if you use other investment platforms, if you're already investing, such as Trading 212, such as Free Trade, such as Vanguard, any other, or Hargreaves Lansdown, or any other kind of big stock or share provider, this offers a different side of things in new and upcoming businesses. Let's have a quick look down here. You can see it's got a nice kind of interface, and it's got here some kind of selling points, so why invest with Crowdcube. They are authorized by the FCA, so it's nice and safe, but even though you've not heard of Crowdcube, it just means that they are kind of backed, they're checked, they're regulated, so it is entirely safe. I mean, obviously, whatever investments that you make within Crowdcube, that's up to you and your risk tolerance. And of course, because of the nature of these investments and because they're higher risk, there's not always the guarantee that you're going to get returns. But with that risk comes the potential for higher rewards as well. There's also some tax advantages, which we'll go through a bit later. It's secure, and to be honest, it's been around for quite some time, and I'm surprised that I haven't heard of it like more. But then again, I suppose the ones such as Kickstarter and GoFundMe tend to be the ones which make the media. So in terms of some investment opportunities and the things that you can access now, these are some of the things. So on here, if you're looking to make some sort of investment, you'll go onto the particular pitch, and and on that page they'll have all of the different information about the business, who runs it, what sort of things you're getting yourself in for, and probably a roadmap on where they see this going, what the funding is going towards, and how the money will be spent. An important thing to note when you're making some investments is that your money will only be taken out if the investment reaches its entire capacity. So if the investment and the investment opportunity does not reach its goal entirely, then you will get your money back and you won't be invested in that company. Let's have a look at one, for example, with this Good Club and see what that is. I've not looked at this one before. So this one is at the top, it's really well laid out, and it shows you exactly kind of what you're getting yourself in for. So the UK, it shows that it's based in the UK. The EIS, so that is the type of tax advantages that you can get, and we'll cover that in a little while. Convertible, So basically that just means that it's exchangeable for equity further down the line. Some investments will showcase that they have an equity percentage already, so like how much that you would get in terms of the share price and that sort of thing already, but this just means that they can use the money immediately and then give you the equity further down the line. So you'll still get an investment into the company, but that will be decided a bit further down the line. So as it says down here, rather than investing and immediately receiving shares, the payments will be transferred directly to the company and shares issued at a future date. So as you can see down here, you've got an introduction of what the company is, what they're aiming to do. It's almost like a business pitch. So imagine that you are the dragon on Dragon's Den. They're pitching to you to get your money. So it's almost like you can be in your own TV show. You can pick and choose which are the best opportunities that you think are going to be big in the future. And yeah, I think it's a really, really great platform. On here, you can see that how many investors there are, what the target is, how much they've raised. So this one is very, very close to reaching its target, in which case the money would be taken out of your account. I have invested in some businesses using Crowdcube, and one of the things to note is that the money doesn't come out immediately. It comes out several bits after you've had a chance to kind of read paperwork, read the legalities. The money comes out of your account a week after that. So it can take a little while for your money to come out of your account. So it's not like an immediate thing. So that is also something to be aware of, is that it can take some time for the money to come out of your account. So when you're planning for things like this, it's important to kind of expect or account for that money further down the line and not immediately. So this is what I really, really like about Crowdcube, is just how detailed it goes into for each particular business. It tells you all about everything that they could ever want. And another good thing is that once you have invested in a project, you'll get updates. So unless you unsubscribe, then you'll get regular email updates from the team with whatever they're doing, how much it's funded, what exciting things are coming. And that's something that I really, really do like about Crowdcube. It showcases everything that you could want to know. Sometimes they have like a video pitch as well. It's got information about all the different members of staff, because one of the things that you'll find with other investment platforms, so particularly if you're into investing in more risky things such as, I don't know, cryptocurrency or things like that, sometimes it can be difficult to get information about the founders or the people behind it, or what the actual vision is, because the terms are unclear or the experience of the people is not necessarily clear. But with this, it's all very clear. You've got evidence of what things they've done, what value that they bring to the company, and where the company is going in the future. So that's just an example of one particular investment. So let's see if we can find another one, in which case it shows. So this one is entirely funded, and this one is equity. So with this one, you get £1.50 per share price. Now, an important thing also to note here is that when you are investing in these, is that you can't necessarily sell them until the company either goes public or unless they're bought out. So the idea with investing in companies in Crowdcube is that you possibly have the idea of a future financial return, but it's likely that it's going to be a more long-term hold. It's not going to be a quick cash in, cash out, and grab and buy, because as I said, these companies are startup companies, so they're not public, so therefore you can't trade them until either they get acquired or they go public. So that is something important to note. It's not like trading stocks and shares on an exchange. They are essentially, you will get the share certificate up until they go public. That does have an advantage though, in the sense that when they do go public, it's likely that the company, well, I say when, if the company does go public, it's likely that the share price will have increased a lot. So you're likely to get some possibly bigger returns. But with that being said, there's no actual guarantee that the company will go public, and it could be quite some time before that happens. So any money that you put in here, it's got to be money that you're not going to need for the time being. You've got 2.44% equity in the company as well, so they're very much transparent, and you can see there's some information on this one saying that they've already raised £75,000 on the same terms offered to Crowdcube investors. So that one's just offers a bit of a different, and this one's got a video as well. How exciting. I'm not gonna show you that just in case, well, for a 4-minute video, maybe I can use that to increase my watch time. Anyway, in terms of some of the returns and some of the stories and stuff, in case you're wondering what sort of businesses can you invest in on Crowdcube, I know I've shown you a couple already, but you won't necessarily have heard of those because they're startup ones. There are quite a lot of businesses already on here that you will probably have heard of, and you can see just how big the possible returns are. Of course, there's no guarantee that the returns will be this big. On here, there's just a few different, well, it's like a graphic of which companies have gone through Crowdcube. So you've got Moneybox, I've done a couple of videos on that one before, Nutmeg, another big financial provider, Chip, again, Revolut, Brewdog, good beers, not gonna lie, and What 3 Words as well. I actually didn't realize that one because What 3 Words is such a good idea, and that's gone through Crowdcube as well. Free Trade as well has gone through Crowdcube, and you can see on here just some of the returns that people have got. So on this one, Zigzag Global, I've never heard of that one, but that was acquired by a different company, 3,800% return. How mental is that? That is absolutely crazy. 2.3 times return on Nutmeg, 350% return on Mindful Chef. So as you can see with these ones, these are the success stories. They have gone public, but that doesn't mean that necessarily every single one is a success story. Of course, some will have got the money and then never gone further or gone out of business or whatever, in which case you would lose your money. However, you wouldn't lose all of it, and I'll explain that in just a second. So this is a little graphic here of how it works and how the funding has increased over time. So you can see just in terms of the general increase from even 2013 till 2020, that is a huge increase, and 80% of the companies invested on through Crowdcube are still trading. 6% have exited, so i.e. they have been acquired, so i.e. they've sold their shares, which is really great. So that allows the investors to realize profits, and 14% are no longer trading. So that to me seems like quite a good chance of return. Of course, it'll be interesting to see how it changes over the next few years. So in terms of how you can search through the opportunities, Cubex means, well, it looks like this is a kind of new feature where you can find various different businesses, and you can search by category, and then you can express an interest in investing in them if they don't have a current open opportunity to invest, and then you'll get notified as and when they do a future investment round so that you can get in on the action. So let's say we search for clean and green. You can see here lots of different companies, some of which you may have heard of. I must admit, I've only heard of Bulb, but say you were interested in Bulb, you could express an interest, and then it says when they were last funded. You can see a bit of information about them, the valuation. All the information here is really clear. It's it's user-friendly. You've got some news there as well. And then say you were interested in buying, you can express an interest in buying, and then you can see how much that you want to invest in there, and then you will get a notification as and when that is available. So that's a really good opportunity. And then we come to the taxation, and this is another one of the big benefits. So as I mentioned before, you may remember that at the top it had an EIS little icon. So that's the Enterprise Investment Scheme. Now, basically, I'm not going to go too much into the tax benefits because I don't want to baffle your brains and leave you absolutely fried at the end of this video. The idea is to give you an overview and, my thoughts, and then you can do the further research to work out if it's right for you. But it is worth looking at this taxation page because it makes sense. But basically, you can get 30% tax relief on the income tax for those that have this EIS, and any capital gains that you get on your investments is tax free as long as you hold the stocks or the shares over 3 years. So that to me is an absolute no-brainer because it gives you if you were to invest in a regular company through a non-tax efficient account, so through like a general investment account. So if you were to sign up for trading 2-on-2 or free trade and you weren't to put it in an ISA or other tax efficient vehicle, you would have to pay capital gains tax if you went over the allowance, or the allowance of about £13,000 per year. With this, capital gains tax is free on your investments, which I think is a huge perk. And then there's also the seed enterprise investment scheme. So there's 3 levels to investing, or to business investing on Crowdcube. There's seed, where it's an initial startup. So I think that's up to between £50,000 and £100,000, where it's just a company that's literally looking to start up and build themselves. And then you have the middle tier, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's growth. Oh no, early funding. So that's like the kind of middle period where they're kind of in the startup phase, but they're looking for money to grow, or to, you know, get to that next stage. And then growth funding, where they're already established, but they're looking to get some money to make some massive changes. So those are the kind of 3 elements, which are really, really clear as well. But I would recommend having a read of this and the FAQ, because if I try to explain it, as I said, your brain would go. And then they also have some clear explanations here on the research that they do, the checks that they do. And to be honest, when I was reading this due diligence charter, it really set my mind at rest, because, you know, whenever you're getting into new investment opportunity, especially when you're going through a third party, you don't necessarily know how many checks are done, whether they're legit. As much as companies can put on a front, you never quite know how legit they are, but Crowdcube do their research, which is really, really good and makes it extra powerful. So this is what I'm invested in. This is my portfolio, the tab, and you can see exactly what, it's nice and clear. You can see exactly what I'm invested in and what it all means, how much I've invested. So just so that you can see that I'm not lying to you, and I have actually used this platform before. I've got 4 different investments here on the go. I might look to add to it in the future, it depends, because the thing is with these investments is that they are fairly high risk. So we've got 4 companies here. TipJar is a cashless tipping platform, which is predominantly used in the hospitality sector. And I really like the look of this one, because it's something a little bit different to, well, I think especially if it's going to be used in the US, then it is going to be incredible. And I can see that this is something which has legs and which is going to be really, really good for that industry, because cash at the end of the day is getting a bit old, let's be honest, especially for tipping staff. It will just make it a lot easier to have a cashless and contactless tipping system, which I really liked. And then we've got Meatless Farm, which is already quite common in supermarkets and stuff. It's just like a vegan meat brand. It's really, really good and exciting. And we've got the Ethical Butcher, which I think it's like a premium butcher, but with a focus on ethics. Again, I really liked that one. It has lots of potential and is already being used very much in London, and I think they're looking to expand pretty quickly by using this money. Emma, that is a financial app. So we've already kind of looked at some of the other financial apps on here which have had success, such as Chip and Moneybox, and Emma is one that I have used myself, and they've got some really exciting developments on the way in terms of adding stock buying and crypto buying and things like that. At the moment, it just allows you to track your spending, and I have used it before and I know that it is really, really good, so I decided to invest in that as well. It's all well and good me saying, like, this is a great platform, I've used it, it's user-friendly, but what about the reviews? So on Trustpilot here, you can see that they've got 4.5 out of 5 stars on here, which is really, really good, and the vast majority of the reviews just say how good and how easy it is to use as a platform. So to me, that just sums it all up, because a lot of these people that have put in reviews are either first-time investors or people that are new to kind of crowdfunding and crowdsourcing for investing, and I think that Crowdcube is a great way to do that. So then, overall, what are the major benefits and what are the major disadvantages? Should you invest in Crowdcube? Should you use Crowdcube? Let's discuss. So the first thing is that you get great tax relief. So that's a big perk. We've already covered that. The second perk is that it's easy to use for the average investor. In the old days before Crowdcube, investing in startups and stuff used to only be accessible for hedge funds, venture capitalists, people who knew about the financial markets and people who had the contacts in the right industries. But now using Crowdcube and things like that makes it a lot more accessible for everyday investors such as you and I to get involved and hopefully make some good profits further down the line. One of the other things is that you get really good updates as you go along. So once you've made an investment, you get regular updates with what's going on, how the money's been used, what the next steps are, and I really like that kind of transparency. And also, go on, give me a like for the transparency that I've shown you in this video, including showing my portfolio. Another big perk is the potential rewards that you can get through Crowdcube. Because of the high risk, which is one of the disadvantages, it allows you to get higher returns because you're risking more and you're in a startup phase. So when the company does go public, you've got the opportunity for huge returns, which is something that really appeals to me as a small part of my portfolio. If I personally do not have like a huge amount of my portfolio in this because I don't want to risk everything that I have in case a business fails. Another big perk is that there's lots of different options. There's always new Crowdcube funding campaigns going on, and you can express an interest in various different opportunities, ones that have already been on and will have future funding opportunities in the future. So what I do like is that the fees are upfront and honest, and you make them as you make the purchase and not further down the line, which with other providers you would have like an ongoing fund cost or OCF for investing in the fund. You don't have that with Crowdcube. It's literally your money up front and your fees are upfront and honest, and they're pretty small as well, which is nice too. Another big advantage is that you only get the money taken from you if the campaign is successful. So if they don't quite reach their funding bid, then you keep the money as well, and you potentially lose some of the risk that you might have had if the money was taken and then it wasn't successful. In terms of the cons, as we already mentioned, it is quite high risk and you could lose your money, but the tax relief does mean that you won't necessarily lose 100% of your investment and that you would get some back, even if the company were to fail. And then the final disadvantage, in my opinion, is that there's no guarantee of returns at all. So yes, there is the potential of really high returns, but equally there is the potential that there is no returns, and also the fact that your money is locked away for quite a long time in something which is inherently risky. So overall then, how good is Crowdcube? Well, I really like it as a platform. I think it's easy to use, and I think I will definitely be using it to invest in opportunities now and then when something crops up which I have an interest in. What do you think? Have you ever used crowdfunding before? Will you be looking at Crowdcube, or will you be looking at other opportunities? Thanks for watching, leave a like, and I will see you in the next video.